We have some crazy new leaks to talk about with Black Ops 6 Zombies DLC 3, centered all around the Ray Gun Mark II, as it might be the next wonder weapon to return for DLC 3, but it might also have elemental variants. And on top of that, we have multiple new perks coming to the game beyond double tap, and we'll be going over all of those details in this video. So as we get into it, let me know your thoughts down below about the idea of the Ray Gun Mark II returning and its variants. And if you're part of the 66% that regularly watch my videos but aren't subscribed yet, I'd hate for you to miss updates like this, so consider subscribing. It's free. But jumping straight into things, with the next map being the mansion, it seemed very obvious that the upcoming wonder weapon for the map was going to be the Wunderwaffe DG2. We see Richtofen literally using the Wunderwaffe DG2 inside of the mansion within the Liberty Falls intro cutscene. But on top of that, data miners have also found that within the code of Black Ops 6, ever since the launch of the game, that references to the Wunderwaffe DG2 are in the game. Combining both of those facts together, it seemed all but obvious that the Wunderwaffe is going to be the main wonder weapon for DLC 3. But late last night, some new discoveries were found within the code of the COD HQ, courtesy of @RealityUK on Twitter, who is a very credible Call of Duty leaker and data miner who shared a ton of information over the last few months on upcoming content that I've made videos on this channel. The weirdest part about this is that this was discovered within the files of Warzone Mobile, which for the last few years has been notorious for having a ton of coding related to upcoming COD games embedded within it, all due to the fact that the game is connected to the main Call of Duty game, so they share the same assets, the same code, and upcoming content can be discovered that way. And according to @RealityUK, within the code of Warzone Mobile, he was able to discover that the Ray Gun Mark II not only exists, but will have 3 unique variants, currently just named Ray Gun Mark II P, Ray Gun Mark II R, and Ray Gun Mark II W. Now, immediately when I hear the words Ray Gun Mark II variants, I immediately think back to Black Ops 4's Alpha Omega map. If you weren't aware, within that map not only featured the Ray Gun Mark II, but it also featured for the first time ever 4 variants of it, which were all elemental. This was the first time we had ever seen elemental ray guns, and they came in the form of a electric ray gun, a dual-wield ray gun, an explosive rounds ray gun, and a laser shotgun ray gun. These elemental variants completely revamped the Ray Gun Mark II and added the now classic elemental variant of a wonder weapon that we see Treyarch do in almost every Black Ops game. Downside to these though was that the quests to get them were a little long-winded, and in true honesty, none of these variants were any better than the OG Ray Gun Mark II. I think that they were even worse. The people didn't tend to use these elemental variants and just use the Ray Gun Mark II. So from Treyarch's point of view, I could see that how these elemental variants were seen as a little bit of a failure in their eyes, because they just didn't live up to the hype that would surround the idea of elemental variants like we had for elemental staffs, bows, and even Citadel with the swords. So due to that reception, Treyarch could be reintroducing elemental versions of the Ray Gun Mark II for this upcoming DLC map, but they might be entirely different from the elemental variants that I've just discussed. And what is really fascinating is that looking at the original elemental variants from Black Ops 4, they were labeled as V, X, Y, and Z. But looking at this leak list, we have P, R, and W, with W being extremely close to the letter V, X, Y, and Z, almost like these variants are ancestors of the versions that we had from Alpha Omega. Now, this could just be a coincidence, and Treyarch have just named them in the code as these letters to hide what they are. Looking at how they named these elemental variants in the past, where they were just Mark II-V, Mark II-X, Mark II-Y, Mark II-Z, these could actually be related to them and could be similar. We could see these come back, or they could be slightly remixed to be even better variants than what we originally saw in Alpha Omega. Now, if this leak does happen to be true and that these are coming to the game, it also of course means that the OG Ray Gun Mark II will also be coming to Black Ops 6 Zombies, which is really exciting because it is without doubt one of the most powerful versions of the ray gun that we have ever seen in the game. But when it was added in Black Ops 4, a normal standard version of the Mark II was added to every mystery box with within Black Ops 4's Ether maps. And when the Mark II originally debuted in Black Ops 2 in Buried, it was also added to the mystery box of every other Zombies map. So there is a really good chance that if the Ray Gun Mark II and its variants are coming to DLC 3, then it's likely that the Ray Gun Mark II standalone will also be in the box on every other map. Like I said at the beginning, it seemed like a given that the Wonder Waffle DG2 is the wonder weapon that we're going to be getting. But if we look at what we got with the Tomb, which wasn't an original wonder weapon, and then if we continue that on into DLC 3, maybe Treyarch heard the reception that whilst people were happy to see the staff back, we don't want to constantly just have nostalgia bait thrown at us with these wonder weapon returns and have something a little bit different, something that we wouldn't expect. So potentially the Ray Gun Mark II variants could be the main wonder weapons inside of the mansion, but then we also have the Wonder Waffle as just a secondary wonder weapon that exists because it was in Richthofen's office rather than it being a sole focus. Now, I don't want us to get too ahead of ourselves and treat everything that we're talking about here with a grain of salt, as even though this was found in the code, this could be subject to change or could be content that might not even end up coming to Black Ops 6 Zombies. But the interesting conversation is this might not even be content for Season 3 and the Zombies map. This could be in the future for the final DLC, and what we end up getting could be entirely different. And this is a really good point that's made, because in the replies to Reality UK's tweet, Captain Butcher mentions that could this mean the Mark II will be on the mansion and the Wonder Waffle is a universal wonder weapon? And Reality replies saying it confuses him because there's so much for the Ray Gun Mark II that was recently found, but not much in the code whatsoever for the Wonder Waffle. Even though we're going to the mansion and it feels like a guarantee that the mansion's wonder weapon will be the Wonder Waffle. But in terms of new Ray Gun variants, let me know what you would like them to be based on what we already had before with Alpha Omega and what Treyarch could do to really revolutionize the Ray Gun Mark II to make these variants more powerful, more useful, and a better option than the OG, which is already so OP. But on top of that, we also have some new leaks about some future perks that could be coming to the game. Now, we already have had so many leaks, including the actual perk can logo and wraparound itself for the double tap perk, which is looking extremely likely to be part of the next DLC for BO6. But we also have two more perks that were discovered again by Reality UK, who shared that within the files of the game, there are 3 perks: Specialty D mod, Specialty Z mod, and Specialty W mod. A Specialty D mod refers to double tap, which is looking extremely likely. Then we have 2 more perks that we don't know of coming to the game, which could be for 2 more DLC maps. When it comes to Z underscore mod, the community has been speculating that the Z could be referring to the return of the Zomshell perk from Black Ops 4 Zombies, which allows players to have the chance to create a small contamination field when killing normal zombies, and that comes in the form of a electrical orb, where if zombies run into this orb, they'll be slowed down and the damage that's received will be increased. In the grand scheme of things, this was a really useless perk, but if Treyarch were to bring it back, but to give it a lot more utility and use, then it could have a place inside of Black Ops 6. But outside of that, there hasn't been any other perks that ever began with the letter Z, so it could be an entirely new perk instead of the return of Zomshell, but we'll just have to see. But then W mod could also be referring to a plethora of old perks that begin with W, such as Who's Who from Die Rise, Widow's Wine from Black Ops 3 Zombies, and Winter's Wail, which is an evolution of Widow's Wine from Black Ops 4. I'd love to know in the comment section which perk from those selections for the W underscore mod perk you'd want to see return in BO6. But it's interesting that there are 2 more perks left after double tap when we're gonna be on DLC 3, and normally we only have 4 DLC maps. Obviously, the cadence of the DLC maps so far this year has been a lot quicker than what we're used to, and there was a rumor by the Ghost of Hope about a month ago that suggested that we could have 5 DLC maps in this game. And if there are 2 perks left, either we might have 2 perks in the mansion with the final perk being for DLC 4, or we might have 2 perks left because we might get a DLC 4 and potentially a DLC 5. Let me know your thoughts about all of this down below in the comments section, but to make sure you don't miss out on any more updates on DLC 3, as we have nearly a month to wait for Season 3 with the delay announced and it not happening till April 3rd. We still have no idea if we're even going to be getting the next Zombies map at the start of the season or if it's going to come a little later. But either way, we have quite a lot of time to wait, and there's a lot of things to still be talking about that could potentially come to the game. So be sure to subscribe with the bell tick so don't miss out on anything. But if you want to see everything we know so far about DLC 3, then why not click this video on your screen right now?